welcome to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we are here with Felix from Mure. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Daniel?
Good. Exciting times. I'm excited to get into this conversation with you. I want to find out all about what you're doing. But firstly, let's talk about you. Tell us about who you are, your background, your experience, and how you got to this point. So I'm going to throw it over to you. We'll jump straight in.
Sure thing. So yeah, my name is Felix Norden. I am a Swedish software engineer by trade. My background stems heavily from, software engineering, but also machine learning and AI. I used to work at Amazon and Twitch as an applied scientist doing a bunch of machine learning and AI focusing on natural language processing and real-time systems like chat moderation and whatnot. But over time, got more and more exposed towards blockchain technologies and more deep systems and distributed systems as a whole, which kind of captivated more of my interest as well. And after having been at big tech and so on for roughly 3-4 years, I felt like going back to my roots and going into like small startup life and whatnot was what I wanted to do, and wanted to explore the blockchain side more with it. Because one of the problems that I saw primarily, is that when it comes to finance and tech and so on, it is not necessarily as transparent. It's hard, it's difficult, and blockchain was promising a lot of these things that we were supposed to get solved by all that. But as you get deeper into it, it isn't necessarily that accessible. And that's kind of what me and now the team has set out to do with Mure. It's effectively to make transactions and various types of complex flows more accessible for everybody, and make it so you can program payments, subscriptions, various types of business transactions however you want to, without necessarily having to add any complexities for the end users, and making it so you have a more traceable and safe execution of seeing where money is moving, basically.
Okay, so putting my customer hat on, walk me through the experience. It is a fintech platform in the blockchain space at a very high level, but walk me through how it's different to everything else in the market.
Sure thing. So we have effectively separated Mure into two layers. So if we look at it from a consumer standpoint, you have like the consumer layer where you have consumer applications. And then you have various layers underneath when it comes to how you would progress through and go end to end with the blockchain. So we're effectively saying that we're sitting both on the consumer endpoint, where we are building the platform, like you mentioned. So we have like invoicing, we're working with subscriptions and any other type of like business transaction as a whole. And then we have built all that on top of our main API, which is the intermediary layer, which then connects with these other like backbones of the blockchain space for various types of fintech and DeFi as a whole, so decentralized finance. And with that, we are then aggregating and basically taking the requests from the consumer applications to find the most efficient route and basically route these different types of transactions, and doing so with maximum focus of end user friction. So we want to reduce that as much as possible by basically doing exactly what our motto is, and that is one transaction, zero friction. We want to make it so that no matter what type of complex operation needs to happen in the application, the user should only ever have to sign off on one transaction. Because when it comes to like the beautiful side of payments and so on in today's market, is that you basically click one button, maybe a confirmation, and then you're done. And with the security and the transparency that you get from blockchain technologies and so on, that should not impede and make it more deterring for the user to tap into it. So that's why we're trying to go and meet the world from both ends and bring the security, the transparency, and the flexibility of blockchain with the efficiency and niceties that the traditional Web 2 side is bringing, basically.
Okay, amazing. So tell us some of the milestones that you've achieved. When did the platform launch, and what are the milestones you've achieved so far?
Sure thing. So the company as a whole has been around for a couple of years. We moved into the programmability aspect of things and the like customized transactions roughly 15 months ago. We are so far fully bootstrapped to date, and have generated roughly 600K in revenue. So that's one of our biggest milestones. We have had a total of 25 different clients coming and going back and forth. And right now we're onboarding our main cohort for the platform that I mentioned earlier, which is focusing on small to medium-sized business transactions. And there we're onboarding roughly 50 different businesses and freelancers that are basically working with us to battle test everything with the new platform itself and putting really everything to the test when it comes to how the transactions are working, what the conversion rates are looking like, and how the receiving end of these invoices are actually enjoying the experiences we're providing as well. Because we're also not only providing the invoicing tool and the management dashboards, but also an end user experience for actually doing these payments as a whole.
Okay. And then what jurisdictions are you focusing on first? And then what's the expansion plan?
So right now, the main focus is getting everything of this matter out, and then focusing on solidifying anything that has to do with the APIs to make it even better. And then from there, as soon as we have ironed out any of the kinks that we're getting from the beta testing that is going on right now, effectively rolling out the new SDK to get other integration partners rolled into it. So that we can not only have to build the end user applications ourselves, but we also get other people building on top, so we can focus on being that intermediary layer and remove all the friction for people when it comes to the blockchain side. Following that, it's more going to be focusing on big enterprise integrations as the SDK and everything is getting solidified, so that we can work more on not only the small to medium-sized businesses, but bigger enterprises as well, to help bring them into the fintech space of blockchain.
Okay, amazing. And then what does the next 12 months look like for you? What are the milestones? What are the things that you want to achieve?
So the first milestone is we definitely want to hit as soon as possible, but 1 million in recurring volume every month to then derive a bunch more sustainable revenue from that. We're looking to hopefully do that by the end of Q1 is the target. Following that, it's going to be to grow that revenue month over month and keep building up the overall successive growth simply by onboarding more users. And then alongside with that, rolling out more features into the product line. So for example, one thing that we're working on doing right now is also tinkering with how we can solve subscriptions in an efficient way and making it so that you can do easy payments, but also recurring payments through the subscriptions landscape, because that's been a problem with Web3 that has been kind of difficult to solve. But if you can tie that in neatly, then we have a whole new market to compete in. But not only that, we're also looking at the programmability aspect. So we're also making it so we can integrate and make it so users can partake in various types of decentralized finance products. So for example, staking, deposits, even investments and so on, which puts us into a nice position when it comes to the emerging RWA landscape, or for example, into staking as the regulations are getting shifted around that as well. And basically sitting there to help people easily move into these different areas of value as retail and so on is getting exposed.
Okay, and now thinking about this is going to lead into the investor, but the investment side of things. But what does your typical customer look like? Who are you ideally targeting? You said small to medium businesses, but what does that look like?
So yeah, small to medium-sized businesses right now is the main focus for the platform side, and because that's how we can grow the fastest and get more exposure, because then we can tap into their customer bases, and then from there get more people coming to us as a platform, and that way we can get potentially more integrators into the API and thus penetrate the market deeper long term. But what they typically look like is, for example, development shops. So like any form of consultancy that is doing dev work in Web 2 or Web 3. So with or without blockchain, basically. It could be freelancers, designers, creators, anybody who wants to take payment in any real currency using the blockchain or want to take it across borders very, very easily can do so with crypto. It could be bigger networks that are looking to do subcontracting, whatever. You have one major agency that has a bunch of subcontractors that are looking to invoice internally as well. Those are kind of the three main demographics, I would say. So it's like freelancers, consultancies, and or like smaller networks.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that is, and it will lead into to the investment. But if any investors are watching this, some of their portfolio companies may be ideal clients, so it could be a nice synergy if they were looking at this opportunity. Now, how much are you raising? What's the use of funds for?
So we are looking to raise 2.5 million at on a safe, with a potential opportunity to also get tokens if people are interested. We are unlikely to necessarily launch a token, but if we do, then people have the opportunity to get into one as well. Sorry, what was the other part of the question?
What's the use of funds for?
Sorry, thank you. The use of funds is primarily towards go-to-market and then also expanding on the development side. The majority is basically to develop a strong sales team and overall marketing and growth so that we can deploy the products that we have already built to get more revenue in and actually become a more sustainable business. And then the other side is, locking in some more competent developers to help me on the development side to really push that forward so that I also can focus more on the B2B relationships and finding more integration partners so we can solidify the product as a whole.
Okay, so this raises basically fuel on fire to accelerate growth.
Correctly.
You've hit your strap. $600,000 is amazing in revenue for being bootstrapped, and now it's just about accelerating everything and experiencing that growth. Okay, great. So, where is the focus for you as a founder? Where do you see the industry going, and where is the focus that you think this company can go?
Right. Excellent question. So, if we start strategically, effectively speaking, we started focusing on, and sorry if my dog is barking in the background, we started with payments roughly 15 months ago and started building against that, or 18 months ago now, coming up on even, and felt like digital payments and the whole overall finance space is going to be relevant for it. Since then, we've had like Stripe and major players come into the vicinity, and thus we have decided to focus more on the transaction operations side of things to actually connect with those bigger players that are coming in, so we can sit nicely there to connect them with the liquidity and so on that is in other landscapes of the blockchain sphere and then also in traditional finance. The vision that we kind of have with it is we want to enable money to move more easily. And we see it as we can be a good, strong position there, because right now there isn't necessarily a good solution that is trying to bridge the consumer applications with all the infrastructure that is being built, because most people want to build their own silos. That's been kind of the problem in this space. And that's where we want to be. We want to make it so we can have a competitive, open landscape where money can be kind of evergreen when it comes to the technical innovation and help people get the best fees or the lowest fees available for them. That's kind of where our positioning is. The long-term vision is quite gaudy. I effectively want to be able to leverage everything that people are building in an open market to compete with the traditional banking networks. That's the long-term vision. That's like the 10-year plan, because I can see it as you have a lot of these traditional finance businesses moving into building on their own blockchains. But the selling point is not necessarily that you have everything on one ledger. It's the fact that people are congregating to various areas and making it possible to basically bridge the gap between these different islands. That's where the sweet spot is going to be, because not all money will ever be in one spot.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting. You're not looking to compete with these big players who are moving in space, but you're looking to complement them. And what you're building is a tool to help customers effectively move, well, like you said, move money seamlessly, transact seamlessly, and make it as stress-free as possible.
Correct. And one of our main selling points with that is we do not want to compete with, for example, stablecoins. We've been focusing on value as a whole. So anything that holds some form of ostensible value or monetary value should be possible to transact with. So, for example, let's say if you have US dollars sitting on a US bank account and you want to move it into like Bitcoin, you should be able to do that in one transaction. Or let's say you're looking to pay rent or pay off your mortgage and you only have these risk on assets, then being able to take a portion of that and get a real-time quote to convert it into whatever you need and then send that off to the recipient in one go, that's kind of the optimal flow, right? Because that means that all these assets are more liquid, and we don't know where things are moving in the future, but at least then we can pave the way for any type of such asset to be leveraged in as simple of a process as possible.
Yeah. Now, to if people aren't too familiar with the space, let's say you wanted to transfer money across the globe instantly, and you wanted to use blockchain to do it. If you have your US dollars sitting in your bank account, you need to log into your Coinbase or Binance or something. You have to deposit money into your Binance account. You have to buy USDT, then you have to send it across. So there's multiple transactions along the way, multiple fees, and there's a little bit here, a little bit there, taking out in transaction fees. So you may think you're sending $1,000, but by the time it gets to send that USDT across the globe, it may only be $995 or $994 because a little bit's been taken out. It's probably a lot more than that, depending. But there's multiple transactions. So what you're doing is your platform seamlessly does it from one to the other without having to think about it. So I hope that gives our viewers a bit of an insight into it, because there are platforms that you can send money, but it is multiple steps. You're just removing all those steps.
Yeah, we're trying to build, or we are building the infrastructure to do exactly that, so that people can have that one interface that you just interact with, and you click on one button, and then everything else is removed from you. Because, like you said, you described basically now what like a traditional way of sending money back in the day would look like as well, when you had to go to the post office and send money over with post or whatever, instead of actually just doing that one single bank transfer, for example. And we want to make it as easy as possible, simply because of the fact that in this day and age, people shouldn't have to know how the underlying systems are working unless they want to. It should be opt-in. It should not be a requirement.
Yes. So, that makes complete sense. What I have also noticed from this conversation is that while, yes, you're building a strong business that's complementing these big platforms, you're also positioning yourself in a nice spot to be acquired by one of these big platforms. Should they see you and you start to get enough traction. And from experience, there is the acquisitions happened at very attractive multiples. So for investors looking at this, he's not trying to, Felix is not trying to compete. He's trying to complement. And that's when big platforms like Stripe may say, hey, we like that company, we're going to acquire it. And the revenue multiples are quite handsome. So if you are looking at this opportunity, it's in a good position, or it will be in a good position. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. Thank you very much for jumping on. This has been very interesting. I do love the space. I come from a finance world. I've always thought that finance needs to be easier. And with the rise of blockchain, I thought this is great. And I remember it's come a long way. I remember in 2016 or 2017, sitting in the office with one of my friends on a Friday afternoon, trying to work out how to buy Bitcoin. And it was like, $1,000 a coin, and we couldn't work out how to buy it because it was very, very difficult to buy it at that time. And we said, forget about it. We'll work about it on a Monday. And we went down to our local bar and we forgot all about it. And then a few months later, Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $10,000. And we're like, oh, wow, we missed out. And now look where it is now. So It's come a long way since then. Things are getting easier and easier and easier to buy it. But now to actually use it in real world, this is where you're coming in.
Exactly. Thank you so much for letting us join you, Daniel.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. Thank you.